point, you're saying this is exactly the same as what we all call formal impeachment proceedings by another name?
This is formal impeachment proceedings. We are investigating all the evidence. We're gathering the evidence. And we will, at the conclusion of this, hopefully by the end of the year, vote articles of impeachment to the House floor, or we won't. That's a decision that we'll have to make. But
this is formal impeachment proceedings, according to the man who gets to say whether or not that is so, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Congressman Jerry Nadler of New York, who joins us now here live on set. Mr. Chairman, it's nice to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Good to see you.
So you said earlier this evening this should be seen as what we colloquially describe as impeachment proceedings. Why has there been fuzziness or confusion as to whether or not that inquiry is underway?
Well, I don't know. We've made it clear. I don't think we should get I don't think we should get hung up on semantics. We've made it clear that the committee is holding an investigation. We are looking into the various charges of malfeasance, obstruction of justice, abuse of power by the president, and we are considering what to do about it, including the possible voting of articles of impeachment.
When you said that you expect that there will be a vote before the end of the year on whether or not to approve articles of impeachment?
Well, if we decide to do articles of impeachment, we'll have a vote. If not, we won't have a vote.
Why is the end of the year your time frame there?
Well, that's just approximate. It's an assumption as to how long the court fights for these witnesses may take and how long it'll take to have hearings with the various witnesses. We'll spend, I assume, September and October on hearings with witnesses that we don't have to get through compulsory process in court. Hopefully, the court proceedings will get us the witnesses like McGahn and others after the end of October. And if that is correct, then that's an approximate time frame.
And this lawsuit that you filed this week to try to compel Don McGahn's testimony, to try to make him respect your subpoena, I have been describing this, and I realize I'm describing this on the basis of other people like me describing it this way, and I should check it out with you. But the way that I look at this is that this is about getting McGahn's testimony, but that it seems to me that through this lawsuit, you were essentially trying to unlock what has been blocking other witnesses from testifying.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. The legal issues in the McGahn are exactly the same legal issues for Hope Hicks and Annie Donaldson and all the other witnesses. So when, hopefully, we win the McGahn lawsuit, all the others will follow. The White House is asserting absolute immunity for presidential appointees, which is an absurd claim, and that's essentially what they're asserting, and we have to break this. If the courts, God forbid, were to uphold such a claim, then never mind the impeachment, there'd be no congressional oversight of the executive at all, because you could simply say anyone who deals with the president, anyone in the administration, doesn't have to testify at all, and that would destroy the separation of powers. It would essentially make the president unaccountable to Congress and therefore to the people, and it would make him a king, which is exactly what the framers of the Constitution did not want to do.
Do you know what you are hoping for in terms of a time frame on the resolution of this McGahn case? If this is so key to getting his testimony, if his testimony is key to your inquiry and on its own terms, but also in terms of unlocking other witnesses so that you could hear from them as well.
We don't know the time frame. We've asked that it be expedited. And one thing, and we've asked that in our papers and in an impeachment proceeding, which we've said this is in our legal papers, you're entitled to the highest degree of expedition because obviously there are time considerations that aren't present in normal oversight. Hopefully, we get a decision from the lower court in, I don't know, a number of weeks, and from the Court of Appeals in a couple of months, and hopefully it doesn't go beyond that.
Within a couple of months, it's already August, so that'd be September, October. If you're looking at hopefully trying to be voting by the end of the year, if you decide to proceed with articles, that's a quick time frame.
Yep. It's a quick time frame, but again, I'm not saying the end of the year. It could be sooner, it could be later. We have to do it. We have to do what we have to do. And by the way, we're not limited, nor will we be limited by McGahn and the other people I mentioned are very key to consideration of impeachment for obstruction of justice, abuse of power, all the things that were in the Mueller report. But we have other grounds that we have to look into too, and we'll be holding hearings of violations of the emoluments clause of the Constitution, and just the fact of opposing all congressional subpoenas. That was Article 3 of the Nixon impeachment, And here he's gone way further, even to the extent of saying we'll oppose all subpoenas, which is another way of saying we don't recognize the separation of powers. And we are going to aggrandize power to the executive branch, which is core impeachable. And there are others, too. So we'll be looking at all of these things.
Have you made decisions within your committee, or have you as chairman made decisions as to what those various grounds are? I mean, you just described several. Has that been a process?
No. People obviously are suggesting various different grounds, and we'll have to prioritize which we look into and investigate and make decisions as next few months go on.
And how does that process work within your committee? How do you run your committee for making important decisions like that?
Well, the members of the committee and the staff will talk to each other.
Mm-hmm. In terms of this being a point of discussion and consternation and having a lot of political impact, apart from the substance of these potential articles of impeachment that you may be looking at, there's been so much discussion as to whether or not this is politically wise for Democrats and whether there's a political appetite for it. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has been broadly described as being against this as a step, and she's described herself that way, broadly speaking. Can you tell us about your discussions with the Speaker on this and whether she supports what you're doing?
I should say is that every court filing we're making, every assertion that we need this information for impeachment consideration, et cetera, was signed off on by the Speaker. The House counsel is bringing these lawsuits. The House counsel reports to the Speaker, not to the chairman of the Judiciary Committee. I mean, we asked the House counsel what to do, but I can't tell him what to do. So the Speaker is going. The Speaker wants to vindicate the Constitution, and she's been very direct in that. And so do we. I mean, political considerations aside, we must protect the Constitution. This is probably one of the worst crises we've faced in constitutional law since after the Civil War, in terms of aggrandizement of power to the executive, in terms of denial of congressional power, separation of powers, in terms of the president asserting powers that he doesn't have and using them. We have to have limited government. We have to have constitutional government, and only Congress can do this. So we have to do this, and the Speaker understands that. And we will have to pursue it, regardless of the political consequences, although obviously we have to take politics into account.
It still sort of flummoxes me that the analysis that the president getting impeached would be good for the president.
I don't think so. Yeah. I don't think so. If we do our job properly, if we get the evidence, if we have very convincing evidence and convincing hearings, and people understand what's at stake, I don't think that there will be negative political consequences for protecting the Constitution.
If you can stay with us, Mr. Chairman, I was just making fun of you and your colleagues for your long summer vacation, but I understand there's a possibility it might be ending early. I'd like to talk to you about that when we come back. We'll be right back with Judiciary Committee Chairman Jerry Nadler. Stay with us.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.